Welcome to the No Sugar Coating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugar Coating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 258 of the No Sugar Coating Podcast. I am doing something a bit different this week. I'm just experimenting with audio and video. So you'll be able to check this out on YouTube as well as listen to just the audio as usual. But I wanted to just do an experiment and see if you guys preferred one over the other, if you like both. Anyways, this week's solo episode, I felt so called to talk about this week. And because I normally just do audio, you're going to see me looking all over the place because I'm just like connecting and getting information and sharing from my heart. So I may look at the screen sometimes, I may look away. I often find that I'm always looking all over the place pertaining to the video that you're going to be seeing. But I felt very called this morning when I got up. I just knew that I needed to talk about this today with the podcast, which is really around addressing self-hate towards your body, feeling safe in your body, and feeling ways to feel grounded. I think that this is just such a powerful and important time for us to start to learn, or maybe you're already learning, or maybe you already feel grounded, but to just really reinforce, how can I feel safer in my body, feel more grounded right now? There's a lot, of energies and different things going on in the world right now. And it's so important that we can learn how to come back within ourselves, get out of the ego and out of our head and back into our heart. And I'm hoping that this episode today just helps you feel more peace, more well-being, more gratitude to be here right now and to be, having your life journey happening right now. So before we dive in, I just want to go through a few key notes. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/258. Be sure to subscribe and listen to the podcast on all podcast apps. You can click the link in the show notes to take you to wherever you want to go. Also, be sure to join the private Facebook group, Women Choosing Body Freedom. You can click the link in the show notes, or you can go right to Facebook and type in Women Choosing Body Freedom. It's just a really beautiful community of women who are sharing their experiences and kind of part of a like-minded community that you guys are all wanting to embark on your own unique health journey. So welcome to all of the members. I'm so grateful to have you all with me there. So diet pressure, it doesn't matter what type of year it is, or where we are in the year. I find that, a lot of women will put a lot of diet pressure on themselves, whether it's after we had Canadian Thanksgiving, and I suspect there's a lot of people maybe feeling like they overindulged or feeling guilty or now wanting to hop on a diet or restrictions. So there's kind of that aspect of it. And then there's this whole other aspect of, a lot of people think that dieting is how you gain control with emotional eating, when really something more like mindful eating, being present with your food instead of running around and, focusing on 10 different things at once and mindlessly eating, which actually can fuel more of an unhealthy relationship with food, is something that we really have to address. So it's like taking the diet pressure off, taking the focus off of diets, and focusing more on building a mindful relationship with food, because it really allows you to learn how to chew your food properly, feel satisfied and satiated, balance your blood sugar, help with cravings, and prevent binges and emotional eating. So I think that this is really important when it comes to building a healthy relationship with food. And so I want you to imagine what it would feel like for you if you could eat mindfully without distractions. And if you didn't feel a strong pull to eat in front of the TV anymore, how would that make you feel? How would it make you feel if you could take your lunch break and just focus on nourishing your body and taking care of your needs? very powerful to take the time to just focus on making you a priority. So if you're going, oh, I struggle with emotional eating, I struggle with eating mindfully, I don't feel good enough or worthy to take time for myself, I don't have time to, take a lunch break and eat mindfully, but I really am finding I'm not feeling well and, physically I'm getting bloated or I'm tired all the time and I can't seem to get into the diet and the emotional eating route. Well, then, it may be resonant for you to take advantage of the fall coaching cell that I've been hosting that's going on until American Thanksgiving. So you can click the link in the show notes to book your 30-minute body freedom call. It's complimentary. And so you just fill out an intake form, talk more about, where you're struggling and what your goals are. And then when we connect, we will talk through that intake form and talk more about what you've tried, why aren't things working, what's holding you back, and what's possible by potentially exploring a different approach. So this is a sale on my 6-month, 1-year coaching program. So you can, again, just click the link in the show notes and it will take you right to schedule your 30-minute call and fill out the intake form. Definitely look forward to connecting with you guys. It's always a pleasure to connect with you privately, no matter where you've come from. So without further ado, let's dive right into this episode. If you're finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, if you're struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, perhaps you suspect your hormones are off, maybe you're struggling with body image, if you continue to be low on your priority list, if you feel like you're always fighting with your body and your weight, you are in the right place, because these are all the topics I'm going to continue to talk about, diving into the habits and mindsets to set you on a different path. So let's dive right into this. This is such a huge topic. And I feel like so many women and men, I acknowledge both sides, who have or are struggling with this. And so that's why I think it's just so important to dedicate a whole episode to it. So addressing self-hate toward your body. So I know hate can be a strong word. So if for you, it doesn't feel like hate, it feels more like a dislike, that's fine. But I know for a lot of my clients, they do say, there is a hate there. And so it's just important to be authentic with wherever you're at, and to not judge, try not judge yourself or be too hard on yourself if this is where you're currently at with your body image. And so there's some exploratory to do here first. So grab a pen and paper, journal, pause the podcast if you need to. But it's important to ask yourself some really valuable questions. And I'm going to dissect, some of the observations and experiences that I went through when I was struggling with this, things I see my clients struggle with, and just observing out in life, because it can help to just help you understand a bit more to get to the root as to what's going on for you. And I think that's so important. So the first question in pertaining to addressing your self-hate or self-dislike is, where did this develop and where did it come from? Because it doesn't just come out of nowhere. You're not born hating your body and being critical of yourself. You're not born, thinking you're going to have to go on a bunch of diets and that you don't feel good enough and that you have to fit a certain body image mold and you have to look a certain way to have everything you want. That's not how you're born. We're all born with so much potential, and you all have so much potential still to this day, but we do get conditioned. And we do, receive that conditioning from many different potential avenues. So where did it come from? Which really can tie into the second question, which is, who did you inherit the conditioning from? So where did it come from? The conditioning. So the conditioning, it's an example is essentially, I'll just share the example that I went through. So it's like when I was young, got called fat and ugly. And then I assumed that because strangers said that to me, it must be true. And I believed it. When you're 5, it's really hard to know how to brush something off and just move forward. I don't know, maybe some 5-year-olds are good at that, good for you, but that really hit me hard. So from there, it was just kind of like, I'm shy. I don't want friends who are boys because I don't want them to judge me and hurt me. From there, it was like, starting to watch music videos and read magazines and all these perfect looking women and wanting to look like them and be like them because they're famous. They're the ones in the magazines. They're the ones making all the money and successful and have all this attention. So that must be what I need to do. And so then starting to go on diets, right? And seeing diet commercials and seeing celebrities endorse diets and seeing public figures endorse diets and, seeing that like, wow, this must be the route to go. If I diet and I lose weight quickly and I fit into this certain mold, then I'll be good to go and I'll have everything that I want. So we're really conditioned that everything we want is external, that success and looking a certain way and beauty and money and et cetera, it's, that's fulfilling and that's how you're defined. And so then often here we go looking for external validation from others. Number one, that we're good enough. And then number two, proving by trying to get this perfect body, trying to make a certain amount of money, have a certain job, be a certain kind of parent, if you have kids, give as much as you can to other people so that you can get that validation from them, when what ends up happening is you are not necessarily dedicating enough time for yourself and you're saying no to yourself and yes to everyone else because your worth is so caught up in what other people think of you and the validation from them. And so I think it's so important that we start to understand, like, where did this conditioning come from for me uniquely and who did I inherit it from? So for a lot of people, they can inherit this, conditioning from family members. So if you had family members who made comments about your weight or put you on diets from a young age, or maybe they were and are still to this day, dieting all the time. Maybe they're always making negative comments about their weight or wishing they were thinner, skinnier, looked a certain way, or compared themselves to certain, friends or colleagues or people that they see on TV, because I know comparison can really feel very disempowering and be a huge body image and emotional eating trigger for a lot of people. And so I think it's important to really acknowledge, from my closest circle, when I grew up, what was I absorbing and taking in around me from the people who were around me? Whether it was your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your grandfather, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, your brother, your sister, it doesn't matter. It's just observing, okay, did I have experiences where I really felt upset and hurt by what other people said to me? Or did it upset me when I saw mom saying how much she hated her body and that made me feel insecure about my body? Because if mom's saying it, then, well, maybe that's something that I need to do too. I know when I was growing up, my mom would always talk about how much she hated her body, disliked her body, because she was overweight and there's a lot of insecurity. And I think a lot of dealt with body image and self-worth things there. And so I just think I grew up thinking that was normal and insecurity was just part of being a woman. And that obviously the more weight you gained, the more insecure you probably felt, not knowing that it was about going inside and building confidence and learning how to love yourself. So that's what I was around. And I know a lot of my clients have parents or someone in the family who judges them or makes comments about their weights or wants to put them on a diet. And that can have a significant impact on how you grow up, the way you behave, how you show up in life. And I see a lot of perfectionist mentalities being born out of this, oh, you need to be a certain weight, you need to lose the weight, because diets fuel perfectionist mindsets because you have to be perfect on the diet. Right? In order to get X results or Y results, you need to do X. You need to take these actions, eat these foods, don't eat these foods, and then you'll get this result, which is the weight loss. But it's not that easy and it's not that cut and dry, because if it is, you'd go on one diet, you'd achieve the result and you'd be fine for the rest of your life. It's about so much more than that. And there is no, I don't think, coincidence that the diet industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry for, these reasons, because they've created diets because they know you'll spend the money on them, you'll fail, and then you'll keep trying all sorts of other ones because they've convinced you that it's your fault. You don't have the willpower. You didn't try hard enough. You need to do better. You need to be more strict, more rigid. When no, it's those kinds of things that fuel more rebellion, more negative self-talk, a more loss of trust and hope within yourself, and can fuel more emotional eating, because there's kind of this pendulum effect that ends up happening, that I find the more people, try to restrict and cut out all these things and say, I'm not allowed, I shouldn't have that. You create all sorts of diet and food rules. And then the pendulum swings the other way when you can't attain that. And then all of a sudden you're going and eating all the things that you're quote unquote not supposed to have, not allowed to have. And then from there you panic and freak out because, oh my God, I've gained weight, I messed up. And then you go back on another diet. And that vicious cycle just keeps going around and around and around. But what it really does is it distracts us from, healing. It distracts us from building our self-worth. It distracts us from feeling worthy and good enough. It distracts us from building a healthy, mindful relationship with food that is balanced. It really distracts us from feeling whole and complete and, elevating our lives, really, I feel like. So that's why it's so important to understand from a diet place. Like, did you inherit it from observing friends and family members as you were growing up dieting and then thinking that's what you do? Were you told to diet by your doctor, by a colleague, by a friend? Did you see a commercial? It's all, it's different for everyone, but it comes down to the kind of the same behaviors and patterns. So did you inherit, these behaviors from friends? Like, I know I have some clients and they have particular groups of friends that all they talk about is weight. All they talk about is body image. All they talk about is the latest fad diet that they're trying and how much weight they've lost, even though, a month ago they were up 20 pounds, now they're down, and it's just this cycle where they keep going up and down. So maybe you feel vulnerable being around that group of people, and that makes you feel unsafe in your body. Maybe it makes you dislike your body because maybe you're with a friend who's having quick fix, weight loss results, but you're struggling with your weight right now and you don't want to hang out with them because you're finding it triggering that they're having success and you're not. And maybe you've declared to yourself, I'm done with diets. I don't want to go on another diet, but being around that certain group of friends feels tempting to you that you may, in fact, go on another diet. So I think it's very interesting how sometimes like friend influence can really impact, our beliefs of ourselves, our self-worth, and the way that we show up in the world, and the kinds of behaviors like, diets, restriction. Or then there's the other side where you may have certain groups of friends that are all about, revolving all of your interactions together around food. And so it's like you associate, well, when we hang out, all we do is eat. We go to these restaurants, we buy this food, we sit and watch movies and eat junk food. And I know, when I was struggling with my emotional eating, there were certain friends, as I started to understand that I was struggling with emotional eating, I really had to limit my time around for a while, because every time I would hang out with them, it would trigger more binge eating, because we'd all get together and buy all these foods and just like binge together. And it's like, well, it's not binge eating if I'm doing with other people, and you start to justify it, even though you're all kind of enabling an unhealthy behavior together. And so that was really interesting to start to observe. And then, for some people, they all drink together and they can't go to any kind of social outing without drinking, or eating and drinking together. So it's really interesting to see from friend circles or workspaces and work environments, with social outings or get-togethers at people's houses, how it can really enable potential either negative self-talk, because all the friends may be negatively talking about their bodies or the diets or the food and the alcohol, and how that may be an enabler as well. So I've touched on this a bit, but I'm going to come back to it, which is the content you've consumed. Who did you inherit it from? The content you've consumed. So you've been hearing me talk a lot about this lately because I feel very strongly about it. I don't believe we're born feeling unworthy. I don't believe that we're born feeling not good enough, critical of our bodies, in judgment of ourselves and judgment of others. It's not something we're born with. Babies are born to unconditionally love themselves and others. We're taught how to become critical of our bodies. We're taught how to diet. We're taught, be critical of this part of you, that you need to have a flat stomach, that the smaller your clothing size, the better of a person you are. We're taught to focus on external, whether it's the kind of car you drive, the house you live in, the outfit you're wearing, the brand of clothes that you buy, your appearance of your body. And yeah, I'm all for nice things and I'm all for looking nice. However, when we heavily revolve our life around external focus, it can become an obsession. It can become an unhealthy dynamic, because if you're basing everything off of external, you probably have this void and you probably don't feel whole and complete, because you're going, oh, well, once I get that promotion, or once I have this much money in my bank account, or once I have this certain body, or the scale says a certain number, I can buy this kind of clothing or get this kind of job or have, this kind of a relationship or family, then I'll be fulfilled. And even as you get those things, you still don't feel fulfilled because it's all external. And yes, these things can complement our lives and they can bring a lot of joy. However, at the end of the day, your unique void is within you. And the only way to fill it is to start to go inside and do your deeper work and understand what external things have I consumed and heard that have been so ingrained in my subconscious mind that have made me become so critical of my body, hate my body, think I have to look a certain way, think I can only eat certain foods. That's really what this comes down to. And so whatever your beliefs, your background, it really doesn't matter, because this comes down to, what did you watch on TV, and what are you still watching on TV that triggers you to become critical of your body image? What commercials have you watched that tempt you to want to go and eat certain foods or go to your cupboard and start binge eating or emotionally eating? What shows, movies, music videos, are you watching where you look at one of the hosts or you look at one of the actors and you go, oh, I wish I looked like that. Shame on me. I don't look like that. I'm going to punish myself and go on binge, or I'm going to punish myself with a diet because I need to get back on track. Or maybe you just get so upset because you're like, I'm never going to look like that. And it just feels so defeating for you. And you wish you were the person in the movie or the show, right? Which is all external. And like I've been talking about, so much is edited and altered, whether it's a photo, an article in a magazine, a social media post, video. Like, I don't think people understand the depth to which things have been altered. And I have some friends and colleagues who really pay attention to this stuff and have shared, posts where they show like the before and after with the photoshopping and the editing, and like these images and videos and things, they don't even look real anymore after they've been altered. And it really goes to show kind of the box we've been put in. And then you look at content from the space of face filters, like filters that take away wrinkles, that make your face look smooth and look a certain way, make your eyes bigger, make your lips bigger, like apply makeup and all this stuff. And then you have a lot of women who feel insecure leaving their front door without makeup on, or feel like they can't go on and do an Instagram story without using a filter. And hey, if you're just doing it for fun, but you fully can disconnect from it and you know that you don't need that, great. But I think it's fueled more insecurity and criticism. And then women think, well, I'm getting more attention by using this filter, so I'm just going to use the filter, because if I don't, I won't get the attention or the likes or the follows. And it still comes back to this external, this superficiality. And so I think it's so, so, so important that we stop putting all these people on pedestals, and that we stop idolizing all of these people that we know nothing really about. And we start to turn inward and start to love and idolize ourselves. I don't mean from an ego standpoint, because ego is in self-love. I mean it from gratitude for myself and my body, love for myself and my body. Wow, I'm so amazed and fascinated by everything that I know and can do, and that I'm unique, and that there's not another person, there's not another me on this earth, and for everything my body does for me, and start to get excited about that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what you have the power and control over is your thoughts and the way that you think and take care of yourself. You don't have control over any of the external really going on, and what kind of content is produced. Other than you can decide to shut it off if you don't like it, right? And tune into light-filled sources. But where I'm going with this is just to really have you understand that we have been so taught to idolize all these external people on our TV and our phone, et cetera. And that's taken us so far away from, being connected with ourselves. Unless, of course, the person you're watching is encouraging you to meditate, encouraging you to love yourself, encouraging you to connect with yourself. That's great. There are some positive influences out there that are really great at that. And maybe what you need to do is shift and focus more on that kind of content where it's encouraging, uplifting, it makes you feel good. It inspires you and encourages you to want to connect more and go inside. I think that's so powerful. And the ego, which is the self-sabotaging mindset, which we all have one. The ego is the part of you that compares you to other people and says you're not good enough. The ego is the part of you that goes, you need to lose weight, you need to go on a diet. The ego is the part of you that goes into negative self-talk, that tells you you can't have the money, the success, the relationship, the family, etc., until you look a certain way. The ego is the part of you that holds yourself back if you're not the weight that you want to be, that you don't allow yourself to go on trips, you don't allow yourself to go to social outings, you don't allow yourself to buy certain clothes because you need to lose weight first. And so you're really, in a sense, your ego's kind of got its hand up and is holding you back from you living your life to the fullest. And one of the things we don't want to do is live in regret. We don't want to, be in this place where we go, well, you look back on your life and 30, 40 years goes by, 10 years, 5 years goes by, and you go, wow, I really regret holding myself back because of my weight. I really regret that I didn't do X, Y, and Z because of my weight. You don't want to do that. That's why it's so important to explore these, things that I'm talking about, if it's resonant, and explore what are the root issues here. And if it's not resonant at all, you can shut it off. It doesn't upset me one bit, but I'm here to help people really dig and do their deeper work and understand what is at the root of what I'm struggling with, because I can tell you 100% it's not your fault. And it's not to go and like blame your parents and your family and the TV, but it's to observe and understand, wow, I've inherited habits, behaviors, mindsets, etc., from a lot of external sources that have created my own identity and definition of who I am, without me even going inside and seeing if that's resonant, if that feels right, and if that feels good for me. I think that's the important, difference here is, yeah, you can't control what other people think or whatever they're projecting, but you can definitely decide how you want to think and feel about yourself. And then you don't have to look a certain way to create those feelings and emotions. So the next question, to reflect upon here is, what kinds of thoughts do you normally have about your body and yourself? Is it often, I don't feel good enough, I don't like my weight, I'm not smart enough, I didn't try hard enough, I'm not perfect enough? What are the common negative self-talk narratives that are going on for you? And as you're, reflecting on what those are, maybe some are coming up for you right now, how does that make you feel emotionally? Does it make you sad? Does it make you angry? Does it make you upset? Does it make you feel drained and tired? Does it make you feel, out of control or fearful, and that you want to go on a diet, or you feel like you need to go improve yourself more and put more on your plate, even though you're already have too much on it, right? It's to really look at, how does thinking this way make me feel? How does behaving this way make me feel? And have compassion for yourself, regardless of where you're at on your journey. We're all at different points, but it's so, so, so important to have compassion. And, does having these kinds of thoughts and feelings and emotions have you just generally feeling more stressed out because you're not happy with your body? You physically may feel unwell. Maybe you have more bloating and low energy and cravings, and your blood sugar is really sensitive, and you feel like your hormones are out of whack, and your PMS or menopause symptoms are really bad, and you just don't feel like yourself. I often find when we don't feel good in our bodies, physically, mentally, or emotionally, we feel really ungrounded. We can feel unsafe in our bodies. We don't trust our bodies. We're often thinking our bodies are out to get us, which isn't the case at all. We blame our body. It's my body's fault. Instead of going, well, no, I created this reality, this mindset, this physical state. I have the opportunity to take responsibility and own this and do something about it if I'm not happy with it, if I'm fighting, if I'm struggling. It's truly up to you. It's not up to anyone else. You can get help, of course. You can have people who support you and encourage you, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to want to, go down this path and do this deeper work. So I often find people are more stressed because not only are they having to navigate their everyday stressors, they're stressed daily about their weight, their bodies, not fitting into certain clothes, fear of what other people are going to think of them. And that just adds to all the other stress. And you're likely, overbooked, and you're not necessarily taking time for yourself. And that just adds to the stress, because it's really hard to have a healthy stress threshold and, have low stress levels if you're not dedicating time regularly to do self-care, to take time out for yourself outside of a busy schedule. So very important to understand if your inner fight with your ego and your negative self-talk is now adding more stress, to your plate. And if so, how does that impact your everyday quality of life? And if you're like, no, I can't keep going this way, what needs to change? And so that's why it's so important that we address kind of what are these root things first, and then go, okay, well, what does feeling safe in my body feel like? How do I start to create this feeling of ease and peace and trust and happiness and gratitude for my body? And not that it happens overnight, but we start by planting seeds. And so the first question is, what does feeling safe in your body mean to you? Does it mean you feel at peace? Does it mean you're happy with your body, as far as, you accept the way you can accept the way your body looks? Does it mean gratitude? Does it mean mindful eating and self-care really help you feel more confident? Does feeling safe mean, I know that when I go inside and I meditate or I do this kind of self-care, I feel really calm and grounded, and that makes me really feel at home in my body? But safety is something that we create, and it is created by taking actions with things like self-care. It's created by even saying the affirmation, I am safe. I feel safe in my body. It's learning how to listen to your body, right? So an example would be, maybe you didn't drink enough water today, and so you feel really tired and you feel like your cravings are higher or more intense. And so it's like, wow, I'm really associating the days where I don't drink enough water, I have more cravings, and I feel more fatigued. That's a great observation. That's great awareness and learning how to listen to your body. Or you may go, wow, I feel like I'm craving more, I'll just be general vegetables or maybe specifically leafy greens. So I'm going to eat more of those. And maybe that gives you more energy, or maybe just there's a nutrient deficiency and your body's trying to communicate with you and go, hey, I really want you to eat more of this. But it's really look at what does safety mean, your relationship with food. So I often find for a lot of people when they're out of control with food and they're emotionally eating, they don't feel safe in their bodies because they physically and emotionally don't feel well. They have a fear of losing control and, gaining more weight. And all of that just fuels more dieting, more restriction, more food rules, which creates more food fears, more food rebellion, more emotional eating. And it just makes you feel so like a failure because you feel like you can't just sit and eat a meal and move on. And there comes the judgment and the self-criticism. So with a relationship with food, I find, when a lot of my clients are building a balanced relationship with food, which is freedom from emotional eating, nourishing your body mindfully while being present with your food, and room for mindful indulgence, and then being able to enjoy the indulgence and move on, that builds a lot of inner safety and trust and confidence because you see, wow, it's not about extremes, binge eating and then dieting. It is about me understanding what is at the root issues of this. And as you do so, you fill the void, the internal void. You start to feel worthy and good enough. And you realize that, wow, nothing outside of me can make me feel that way. It's about me going inside and doing the deeper work. And as you do that, you regain hope and trust and confidence within yourself, and you admire yourself for the courage and the bravery that you've, discovered to embark on a journey where you do your deeper work and you get uncomfortable. But as you do so, you realize, wow, I can do this. I am doing it right now. And I can overcome X, Y, and Z obstacles. I can do this. I can, feel good enough and worthy. And as I do so, and I feel more calm and at ease in my body, and I catch my negative self-talk and shift it to more positive, there's this safety, there's this ease, there's this grace, there is this groundedness that happens. And groundedness is really about us getting out of our heads and into our hearts and really sitting more in our heart and where our intuition resides. And that's a very, very powerful place to be. And that's often a place where you're feeling more peace, you're feeling happy, you're feeling love, gratitude, optimism, you're more open, you're more positive. And then often when you're easily grounded, you'll ground other people who are around you, which is super, super powerful when you can ground other people. Not that they'll rely on you, but you'll just find naturally, especially those closest to you, will feel very grounded around you because that's the energy and kind of the influence that you're putting out versus someone who's frazzled and overwhelmed all the time and really critical of themselves and panicky. Like you'll put that out there and people will feel it. Right? I'm sure if you're an empath, you've probably been around other people and felt different things and gone, don't know if I want to be around this energy for too long because it stresses me out. And then other people are like, oh, wow, it's really chill, really grounded. This feels good. And it's not to judge the other person, but it's just to observe, what does groundedness feel like for you? And what kind of thoughts and emotions do you feel when you're grounded and you're really calm versus when you're stressed and you're frazzled? Probably very, very completely different dynamic. But the safety comes with the groundedness, and it's, you may be going, well, how do I feel grounded? Well, it's very important that you set up a space so that you can take steps toward feeling grounded. So have a room in your house or an area in your house, a little corner even where you can put certain plants, maybe a mini waterfall, certain crystals, essential oils, a certain blanket, a certain pillow, a certain photo or flowers or a plant. But having this little oasis or this area that's just dedicated to you and your self-care, and that's going to help to ground you. An Epsom salt, a Himalayan salt bath is very grounding because it's literally you're absorbing the minerals and the salts and it's helping to cleanse you of just, stress and emotions that don't serve you. But having this safe space is just so empowering when it comes to feeling grounded. Meditation is a great way to get grounded, and it could just be as simple as sitting or laying in a comfortable position and breathing. You don't have to do anything in particular, and it's not about you have to do it a certain way. This is just about you getting relaxed. Put on relaxing music and deep breathe, right? Maybe you pull out a journal and you write 10 things you're grateful for about your body or your day or about your life. Maybe you just say, I am grateful for my body. Maybe that's where you start. And it's okay if it feels uncomfortable, because if it's unfamiliar and foreign, you're not going to just glide right into it and be like, wow, this feels really good. It's going to take time to have the unfamiliar start to feel familiar, and that's okay. So it's like, I feel like this is false. I feel like I'm, a bit of a hypocrite right now. It's okay. Just allow yourself to keep going through these motions, because it's the repetition and the continuing to come back to it that will make it start to feel more comfortable and legitimate, and something that naturally starts to just feel like it's who you are. So that's where, it's not about perfection, but it's about consistency and continuing to come back to it that will help you feel more grounded and help you to feel more safe in your body. Nature as well. So whether it's you're getting out into nature or you're bringing nature inside, either or. Put your, if you have to be inside more, put your feet in a big bucket of sea salt or, dirt for that matter, right? Or go and put your feet in the grass. And I know we're here in Canada, it's fall, we had a little bit of snow this weekend, and it's not really realistic to put your feet in the grass anymore because it's too cold. So what can you bring inside for plants and, things like that are just going to enhance you feeling more calm, more at ease, more at peace, more grounded, which is really the key here. Essential oils are so powerful. Real essential oils, so not fragrances. So I love essential oils because they're extracted from nature, from plants and flowers and all sorts of beautiful aspects of nature. And essential oils have different frequencies, different energy frequencies, and they help us increase our energy vibration and our frequency, which is, higher frequency we're more happy, we're more at peace, we're more grounded, we're more gratitude, optimism, love, right? So essential oils can really help to ground us. And I found when I struggled with emotional eating, I would do some essential oil in my diffuser or just, rub some on my hands and do some deep breaths. And wow, just something about it helped to ground me and raise my frequency, of course, which helped me have less desire to emotionally eat, which I felt very fascinating before I really understood, the impact that it was having on me. But, essential oils, I love rose essential oil because it's all about self-love. So just, doing some inhalation, put some on your heart, put it around your neck, wherever you want. But that can be really helpful to, pick the essential oils you're most drawn to and have that be part of your self-care, grounding ritual. I also really love crystals. Rose quartz is great because it's all about self-love. I love all crystals, but like I've got rainbow quartz, white quartz, quartz with black tourmaline, all about clearing. But rose quartz for self-love. I always say whatever you need is what you're most drawn to. So if you go into a shop or you're looking online, if you're like, wow, I really want that one, read the description after, but likely it's exactly what you need. So those are great to have in your little space if that's something that's resonant. If not, that's fine. Mindful stretching, gentle yoga, just being really gentle with your body with movement, but it allows you to connect with yourself, with your body. You can see, wow, whether or not you're flexible, you can go, wow, like I can do this pose, I can do this stretch, and maybe there's room for me to improve upon it, but I'm fascinated that my body can do this right now while I blink, while I breathe, while my heart beats, while I digest, right? Like it's just to see the fascination of while you're doing this stretch, whatever it is, that my body can do a bazillion different things and I don't even have to think about it. And it's having gratitude that your body can do that and that you can do that. And that's what I want to get you to here is activities that are going to help you to become present with your body, which help you then become grounded and more calm, which then help you be able to open up to take your power back from your ego, which is that self-sabotaging mindset, and start to go, wow, I'm really grateful that I did that self-care. Wow, I'm feeling so much better. Journal about, wow, what are the differences I noticed upon doing self-care? What are the benefits physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically? How do I feel? What improvements come along? Because as you get into a consistent self-care routine, you will notice that there's positive, shifts that happen on all of those levels. Maybe you don't emotionally eat that day because you did the self-care. Self-care is a very powerful way to shift away from emotional eating because you're coping with healthy ways instead of, numbing and distracting. So there's a lot of different things you can do to help you feel grounded. Maybe there's things I haven't mentioned, but you have certain things on your list that just help you to feel more grounded. That's great. The key is it's not checking out with technology, phones, TVs, computers. You're tuning in, you're disconnecting from technology, and you're tuning in with yourself. That's really the key here. So, you can share below in the comments if you have any particular suggestions or ideas or what you like to do to become grounded. What do you do to feel safer, more, trusting in your body? And if you are struggling with emotional eating, if you are struggling with making yourself a priority and you're stuck in these people-pleasing perfectionist mindsets and you feel like you're just always going to be critical with your body, well, you can reach out and book a 30-minute complimentary body freedom call. Again, the link is in the show notes. And you can click right through and you can connect with me. I'm happy to just have a conversation with you and, see where you're at. But just know you're not alone and you don't have to keep fighting on your own if you feel like you're not getting anywhere. If you think, it's something that you need to do on your own, then that's also fine. It's about you being on the path that feels most aligned for you, but just know that there is support available if you feel like you need it. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Oh, one other thing I want to mention is also it's really important to be in this beautiful self-care and grounded right now because there's a lot going on in the world. And I think the key is that we can find our inner peace and we can know that we don't need to rely on external things to happen to be grounded. That's up to us and it's each of our own responsibility. It's not someone else's responsibility out in the world. So having a self-care routine that's going to help you feel more grounded, help you feel more at peace, help you feel more at ease is going to help you more naturally navigate the world more easily, even if there's stuff going on. Makes a huge difference. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. The show notes can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/258. If you have questions about the podcast or feedback or podcast ideas, you can send them to me at info@amberapproved.ca. You can also leave a comment if you're listening and watching on YouTube. Be sure to go to amberapproved.ca and take the emotional eating quiz and learn more about body freedom. And as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health. So take action now. Have a beautiful day, a great week. If you like the video of the podcast, leave me a comment, give feedback. If you prefer the audio, let me know. I'm just, like I said, doing an experiment with this to see if there's preference or if people like both. And I will look forward to sharing a new episode with you guys next Sunday. Have a beautiful day and a great week. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.